After an up-and-down week for the Bulls this past week, in which we saw the Bulls go 2-2, defeating the Thunder and the Pistons, games they needed to win, and two close games that were just in their grasp, but they could not hang on to the fourth quarter leads against the Spurs and the Nuggets. The Bulls are right back at it again tonight against the Utah Jazz, who had been one of the hottest teams in the league, but they have recently started to slip a little, going 5-5 in their last 10. However, they do still hold the best record in the league at 30-11. Bulls only have 3 games this week. As I mentioned, they're kicking it off tonight against the Jazz at the United Center. They'll be off on Tuesday before they are back at it on Wednesday against the Cavs. And then they'll be off until Saturday, where they'll take on the Spurs again, this time in San Antonio. And of course, this week we also have the NBA trade deadline on Thursday. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. First and foremost, before I get into the video, just a huge shout out and thank you to all of my viewers and getting the channel to 4,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the support over these past few months since starting the channel. It means a great deal to me, and I obviously would not have been able to grow the channel without you guys, so I really do appreciate it. As I mentioned, I will be hosting a giveaway, which I will be announcing later this week, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's talk about the Bulls games this week. So like I said, the Utah Jazz, they've been struggling as of late, but don't let that fool you. This is an incredible team with 2 All-Stars in Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert that really complement each other so well, one being an offensive threat and the other being a defensive beast. You combine that with the likely 6th man of the year frontrunner in Jordan Clarkson, veteran point guard Mike Conley, who actually was also an all-star. You have Bogdanovich, Joe Ingles. This team is very well positioned to make a deep run in the playoffs. And with the Bulls coming off a game from last night in which they had to travel back to Chicago, albeit just from Detroit, it'll be a tough game. Not just because the Jazz are a good team and the Bulls are on a second game of back-to-back, but mainly because the Bulls don't match up well against this team at all. I mean, we've seen it all this season, but the Bulls will really struggle against star-caliber big men, defensive big men who are just monsters on the boards and can block shots efficiently for anyone trying to drive to the basket. I mean, you look at a guy like Rudy Gobert and you look at his numbers, the guy is averaging 13.5 rebounds per game and 2.8 blocks per game. He's second in the league in both of those categories. And although he's not really known for his offense, he's still averaging 14.4 points per game. Especially with his ability to grab offensive rebounds and be able to put the ball back up. The Jazz are one of the best teams in the league in terms of scoring on second chance opportunities, and that's going to be a huge challenge for the Bulls, and that we have not been strong on rebounding the ball, partly because we don't have a true center on the roster. That has been one of the biggest struggles this season, is giving up second chance opportunities to teams and said teams capitalizing on that. And if there is one team where that is going to be an issue, it's going to be the Jazz when you have an all-NBA player in Rudy Gobert. Then you add Donovan Mitchell, who has been on a tear this season on offense, averaging over 25 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 5.4 assists. The 24-year-old All-Star just continues to get better every year. I do think Lavine will be challenged in guarding Mitchell. Lavine has improved his defense recently. I'll definitely give him that. And tonight he's really going to need to step it up against Mitchell, who can get hot in a hurry. I mean, the thing that makes this team so scary is that you have to come with great perimeter defense if you want to have a chance against them. They're 3rd in the league on offense, a great 3-point shooting team, also 3rd in the league. And they're also 5th in the league in defense. So anyway, okay, I've done enough praising the Jazz. My hope is that because the Jazz have been struggling recently, the Bulls can take advantage of that. They can be scrappy on defense, give it 100% for the whole game and making it competitive, and hopefully steal a win. Then on Wednesday, the Bulls will take on the Cavs. This is a game the Bulls have to win. You have to get those easy wins against struggling teams when you're in a playoff race. With the race, you know, it got a little more interesting for the Bulls, especially given the recent news of LaMelo Ball and his injury and being out for the rest of the season, which I have to say is really unfortunate, as I was kind of liking seeing the momentum and progress from Melo. Even though I wasn't that high on him at all leading up to the draft, he has really surprised me in his first few months in the league, so I hope he recovers all right. Never good to see a player suffer from a serious injury. But anyway, I digress, because the Hornets have now lost one of their key players. That enables the Bulls an opportunity to potentially move along in the standings, as the Hornets are currently sitting 8th in the East, just 1 game ahead of the Bulls and the Pacers Pacers. And with the Bulls going against a team like the Cavs, who, although they've been playing a little better recently, are likely going to be lottery bound. Currently, the Cavs are the worst team in the league on offense in terms of points per game and offensive efficiency rating. They're an okay defensive team, but nothing to write home about. You know, Colin Sexton has been having a great season, averaging over 24 points per game. They did just trade Jarrett Allen from the Nets, which has been a big boost for them on defense, but outside of that, the Cavs don't really have much going for them. Kevin Love has barely played this season. Obviously, they've been benching Andre Drummond, trying to find a trade for him before the deadline. And then they really have been just struggling against high-octane offensive teams, which I consider the Bulls to be a strong offensive team. The Bulls will absolutely be able to take the Cavs in a shootout as a result, given the fact that we have multiple offensive weapons, whereas the Cavs, they really just have one in Colin Sexton. So I won't say this should be an easy win, because crazy things have happened in the league this season, especially for the Bulls, but it's a game the Bulls should absolutely win. And finally, coming out to close the week on Saturday against the Spurs. And I'm already getting flashbacks of last week in their game, which the Bulls blew a 22-point lead to the Spurs and let them go on a 17-0 run in the fourth. Gives me a little PTSD just thinking about it, but my hope is the Bulls will use that loss not only as a learning experience, but also as motivation for revenge in letting that game get away from them. Come out hungry for a win against the Spurs team that handled them in the fourth quarter last week. Take care of the ball, play smart, and not get complacent with a big lead. DeMar DeRozan was out the last game the Bulls faced the Spurs, but he has been playing recently, so I suspect he'll be in the lineup this time around on Saturday. So that will be another hurdle for the Bulls that they did not have in the previous matchup. As for my predictions for this week, I am still going to go with the optimistic approach and say we go 2-1, falling to the Jazz, mainly because they are a great team and have a great big man in Rudy Gobert that I really think the Bulls won't have answers for, especially when it comes to rebounding the ball for second chance opportunities. And also because the Bulls just played last night, and the Jazz haven't had a game since Friday, so they've been able to rest up all weekend. But the Bulls should be able to take the Cavs, no question. And then the Spurs, I have faith the Bulls will come out strong and a little angry in this game knowing what occurred last week against the team, so I do expect them to come out with a win. I would love to hear your guys' predictions for this week though. Let me know in the comments. I'll also keep you guys posted with any updates on potential trades as we approach the trade deadline. As always guys, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I post daily Bulls content. Thank you again for all of the support in getting the channel to 4K. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next one.